Okay. I used to start off these videos by saying, what was it I said? Something like hello friends or hey friends, something. Anyway, maybe some of you are my friends. Maybe you're not. I thought I would try to get some momentum by doing videos 2 days in a row. Um, Trying to work myself back up to speed here. So the video I made yesterday got a few views. I lost a subscriber, but then I gained a subscriber, net loss of 0. I thought I would maybe just look at the comments. Oh, one just 2 minutes ago from Victorian Sword. It says, I'm really excited for new content from you! Exclamation point. Thank you, Victorian Sword. Swordgate was a nice change of pace from Aliens and Templars, and you covered it so well. That's one of the things I would like to do, actually. I realized, so Swordgate was 7 or 8 years ago. At this point, it was in December of 2015. 8 years. So probably enough time has passed to do a little bit of a retrospective. And I'm getting old and I don't remember things so well. So it'd actually be nice to refresh my memory. I and several other core people put a lot of work into that um, historic slam dunk on garbage, bullshit, archaeological claims. And so it is worth revisiting that, I think. And I think that case stands as still, as far as I know, kind of a singular example. So I'm going to write that down. Swordgate retrospective. I put my to-do list on very small pieces of paper. And it's not because I don't have a long list, but I can't accomplish everything that I would put on a big piece of paper. So if you make it small, you actually have a chance of getting through it. Swordgate retrospective. That would be a multiple parter because that's going to take a long time to get through that. I don't know how many tens of maybe 100 blog posts that I wrote. I don't know. And I'll tell you what the funniest thing about that is Hutton Pulitzer, the main claimant, the guy who lied about just about anything you could think of related to that. And who also threatened me with legal action. He contacted my employer. I had to get my own lawyer to get him to shut up and leave me alone. He worked very, very hard to erase Swordgate and evidence of his, uh, let's just call it behavior. That's a terrible word. Evidence of his behavior from the internet. He worked very hard to get rid of that. And I think that was part of why he was trying to strong arm me into taking down various posts that would come up high in searches on his name. He went on to be part of this whole election fraud, you know, January 6th stolen election nonsense. And a lot of his old content he has tried to remove it. The problem for him with the internet these days is that stuff is never really gone. And guess what? I'm still here. So when we do our Swordgate retrospective, we will talk about a lot of things related to Hutton Pulitzer because they are still entertaining to this day. They still make me laugh, and they will make you laugh too. So that will be on the list. So thank you for the comment, Victorian Sword. Add a Greg. This is Greg Little, who I, believe it or not, correspond with once in a while. We have a very nice correspondence. Good to see you back, in quotes. Curse of Oak Island has, for the past 2 years, employed a group of archaeologists, blah, 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 doing several genuine excavations in several different areas. Show does a good job in showing how real excavations are done. That's great. I have not experienced that myself, but hopefully that is true. They have also put in a research building where an archaeologist examines various artifacts being recovered, mostly iron and copper, using the most advanced scanning techniques in existence. So all of this begs the question. They also do a lot of radiocarbon dating. It's quite educational. So whatever happened to the money pit? The work on the island is done under archaeological permits and is a very informative show. Of course, there's a lot of wild speculation on the show. Okay, granted. As I said, I haven't watched it in years. In my humble opinion, this quote-unquote battle with ancient aliens can't be won in that there isn't anything to win. I see it in Jungian terms as a battle with the shadow. The more you push on one side, the greater the pushback gets. There is a background to the tours. That's the Ancient Aliens live show that I will be in my own way um, a counterweight to, though a very, very small one, I am sure. There is a background to the tours the Ancient Aliens people are doing that just isn't known by many. Well, that's interesting. But even if the Ancient Aliens show gets canceled, an alternative will arise. I think that that is true. There is a lot of psychology involved in this, and it's largely unconscious, but archaeology isn't losing the battle, and Ancient Aliens isn't winning either. I agree that it's not necessarily something to be won and lost in cut and dry terms. I will say, though, that it is possible to win battles in this war. And again, circling back to Swordgate, that was a battle that was won, and it was won for the right reasons. And by winning that battle, I believe we actually accomplished something and did something good, something that I am very proud of. And those battles that can be won are worth fighting. Now, I've also been so exhausted by battling that I kind of have given it up for a while. And it seems like there is a sense in which these things are not winnable. So you can win the battle of hearts and minds in small groups, and you can make resources out there that are available to people permanently that are useful. And so to me, that's a win. But maybe we can't win in the sense of there will be a treaty and a declared winner, and that's not going to happen. All right, PathsUnwritten writes, looking forward to seeing more of your stuff. Thank you. Be careful what you wish for. Another person writes, looking forward to your videos. That means I'm winning. EcoDiff writes, the show and others have been complete garbage for a while now. I guess he's talking about Oak Island. Far lower effort than before. Oh, maybe he's talking about Ancient Aliens. The show and others have been garbage for a while now. Far lower effort than before. Shovel it out. I enjoyed the first two seasons of Ancient Aliens as fiction before I learned the public response to it, believing it's fact, and promptly became a skeptic. There you go. You have to have a resource out there. You have to have resources out there to offer an alternative explanation to the one that is being fed to you by these kind of shows. Is that going to convince everybody? No. But is it going to convince people who are genuinely looking for information? Yeah, sometimes it will. The Goofer History Channel fiction is out. TikTok is in. So I'm not on TikTok. I have enough trouble keeping current with the social media platforms that I'm on right now with art and music, and I don't even write my blog anymore, and obviously don't keep up with YouTube that much. So whether I will ever try to embrace TikTok, that's doubtful. Maybe that's better left to the next generation. TikTok propaganda is shockingly effective in this era. Anyone can claim anything and more will believe it. I think there are people out there who are making those responses on TikTok, and good for you. Faces in the Stone. Pseudoarchaeology is citizens watching indigenous mounds being destroyed on the East Coast and then learning about the art being dismissed by academia. And there's a smiley face emoji. Oh, it's the smiley face emoji with the little bead of moisture. And I guess that means he's laughing nervously, seeing faces in rocks. Well, I don't want to pile on Faces in Stone. I have not seen your content, but I will say I've met many people in the course of my professional career that see Faces in Stone. I think the most charitable thing that I can say is that I do not see what you are seeing, and I'm not going to go through any of your examples. But in general, when people say I can see a face in this rock, sometimes like my grandmother had a whole garden full of rocks that she said had faces in them. I don't think she thought they were really faces, but she saw faces in them. And the human mind is very, very good at seeing patterns even where they don't exist, and so we tend to project the familiar onto something and make sense where there is not sense there. Have I ever seen one that I thought was a genuine uh, Native American artifact that wasn't obviously an artifact for other reasons? And my answer is no, I haven't. So I'm not going to be very receptive to rewriting my history books because of that. Uh, Taylor I-81 writes Ancient Aliens to get more views. And then I swear there was another comment on here. There was another comment on here earlier about how I'm some kind of leftist liberal and I call everything racist and it's not racist or whatever. And that was actually one that I was looking forward to addressing, but now it is gone. So I guess I can't address it. But if you want to know at the root why things like Ancient Aliens, why I would say they're racist, just like the Atlantis mythology is racist, just like the mound builder myth is racist, is because all of these ideas arise from the premise that the indigenous people who are living in an area could not possibly have created this monument or that pyramid. The mound builder myth, that was a racist story that was imposed upon Native American remains in Eastern North America in order to justify removing currently living people, claiming that they had no connection to their past. If you go back to, when the Ancient Aliens stuff was kind of first germinated and popularized by Eric von Daniken, racist to its core. I'm sorry, but that's where the foundations are. Does that mean that everybody who thinks that ancient aliens might have visited is thinking about it in those terms? No. But historically, that's where those ideas come from. So if you're going to make an argument that these things are all just valid and we're just asking questions, like, you need to understand the history of those claims. They didn't just materialize out of thin air. But anyway, Taylor, 81, since you removed your comment, and for whatever reason I can't see it anymore, I guess that's kind of moot. But the world will never be able to absorb your great wisdom. So if you want to have that debate, I'll tell you what, if you think the evidence for this sort of stuff is convincing, give me your best case. What is the single best piece of evidence that cannot be refuted or that will stand up to scrutiny that suggests that any of this is true? Any of it. Just give me one. That's all I ask for is one. Give me the best one. People often say, well, there's so many of these things, they can't possibly all be wrong. I'll tell you what, they can be. And that's where it gets into when there's some kind of ideology behind it, when people are cherry picking and they're looking for things to support an idea. It's easy. It's easy to do that. The hard part comes in when you actually subject those pieces of evidence to scrutiny and you see which ones hold up. And if they don't hold up, guess what? If you're being an honest scholar in any stretch of the word, you have got to discard the pieces of quote unquote evidence that don't hold up to scrutiny, that you can successfully cast a lot of doubt on, and you keep the ones that you can rely on, that you feel pretty good about. The problem with a lot of this ancient aliens nonsense is they all go in the discard pile. So you tell me which one should stay, that we should base our theory or our hypothesis or our ideas about ancient aliens visiting and influencing all of these ancient civilizations. You tell me what are the really good ones. No, not even good ones. You tell me what's the good one. What's one, and we'll start there. Um, it's a good way to do it, if you ask me. A whole lot of weak coffee does not make a strong cup of coffee. You cannot make a good strong cup of coffee by adding more and more weak coffee to it. You got to start with something strong, and you don't water it down. So give me the one good piece of good evidence. So I think that's enough for today. You don't run a marathon all at once, right? So I'm going to edit this up and throw it on there, and we'll see when I come back. I hope everyone has a good evening.